10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team back. Radiant team pick.
Tide Hunter.
Dire team pick.
Welcome back, guys. Second best of one of the day. Southeast Asian qualifiers for TI6. I'm Gareth, joined by Gods. Orange.Taring against Mineski Esports. This should be an interesting one. You know, both of these teams kind of vying for that middle of the table straight while we get ourselves into the draft and take a look at what's been picked up. Tide Hunter is the primary for Mineski.
Yeah, Mineski it's kind of a cool matchup because Mineski's kind of the Philippines home team / national team, maybe the unofficial national team, whereas Taring are the national team. They're the kind of government-sponsored team, so to speak, that national tournament there. So it's kind of like Team Malaysia versus Team Philippines.
Yeah.
Not to say they're necessarily the best team from those regions, with Fnatic representing Malaysia for the most part, and like TNC probably at least on level footing to Mineski. You've got Execration doing really well. They're 4-2. Mineski have had an okay run so far. 3 wins, 2 losses. This is a team they need to get a win against if they want to be really in that kind of contest for the top spots.
Yeah, middle of the table right now for C is getting super hot, honestly.
Yeah. No one actually has dropped out because the most losses is 4 for Mongols and Taring, but like that 5th loss is pretty much nail in the coffin. So I think a loss here for Taring is pretty much goodbye.
Already Taring going back for what we've seen them do a lot recently is that double support pairing opening. They've liked the Lion Riki, they've liked the Witch Doctor Riki. Getting that Riki has seemed to be very important for them. But it does leave them kind of open and susceptible because you know that that's kind of going to be the laning stage what you're going to be facing up against, right? The roaming Riki, the Witch Doctor sitting on lane, you can adapt and draft around it.
Yeah, it's such like a all-in on Yamate kind of strat where it's like, let's secure our supports that they know can protect the mid lane. Riki can harass, zone enemy mids. Witch Doctor is a good hero to sip, has the heal, can TP in with Cask. And then they just wait to see what their opponents pick, then they pick Yamate, his hero, to shine with. So it's a kind of funny team in that way where they haven't really developed beyond like either Yamate, and sometimes you see Psionics have really big games, but for the most part this is a team that plays around their mid lane.
Yamate's even been like switching up roles as well. I've seen him play Batrider off lane a couple of times.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's one of those teams where you definitely have the diversity in player pool and hero pool where you can say, you know, Yamate, if we don't give you that hero you really want to shine on the mid lane, you can have the more stable initiator hero, and you kind of draw people in and actually create that synergy between them.
Yeah, and that's the kind of maybe one of the issues with this Taring team is they haven't really got like a true tempo controller player. Rogi's also like you formerly played primarily mid and carry, so they've kind of got 3 players who are used to playing with a lot of farm and being able to play quite greedy. And it's kind of came out of the winter, kind of scouted this guy out from pub games. So it was like one of those 8k MMR, really strong mechanical pub players, and Rogi kind of similar story, although he's been around a bit longer. So it doesn't feel like they have that clear mid-game selfless player that maybe the roster needs, but maybe as far as the SEA scene goes, they have been fairly consistent in putting up results here and there.
Oh, it's definitely shown from Roger's hero pool as well, right? Naga Siren, Tinker, these heroes that, you farm, you split push.
That's SEA pubs in a nutshell there. Like, if you're an SEA, like, carry pub player, like, those are the heroes that come to mind.
Like Chains. Chains has got to be the biggest one, right? You're playing the Ember Spirit, you Tinker, your Naga Siren, things like that.
I mean, even Miracle, like, he's...
Oh, true.
I mean, he's not really a pub star by any means. He's has a lot more on his competitive playing pedigree, but he's very much known for those heroes, the SEA pub heroes, I would call them. You don't see much like the Naga Siren out in your Western pubs or your China pubs, but he is a special breed of pubs. So with teams really just looking for cores here. Like no one's really showing their hand too much. Mineski a bit more so with the Tidehunter, but that pretty much just says they want to have big team fight. They're on Radiant side as well, so you want to be able to maybe contest the Roche a bit better rather than have a Roche lineup. You get a big team fight lineup that can punish the opponents when they go for Roche.
Elder Titan's a pretty good hero at counteracting what Ricky does early on. You know, once ET hits level 2, the Spirit into Stomp is a good way of helping Ricky's kind of ganking potential, but Taring very quick off the mark with a Drow Ranger already.
Yep. No Venge, so it won't be like the full Drow Venge Aura strats, but they're likely to go into a mid laner.
Invoker.
Yeah, Invoker, Wind Ranger, Puck is not bad.
We've seen a lot of Drow in Southeast Asia, and I don't think it's done particularly well win rate wise.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it's great against Tide ET, against the big team fight lineups, because it's kind of that timing push, but you've got this lineup that can fight well into it. You haven't got a great answer to stop the Tide. It's not like you've got a Disruptor to stop the Tide Ravage.
Like riding a bicycle into a wall.
Yeah. I'm not sure about this one from Taring, but we'll see with their 4th and 5th pick, although it should be just your classic ranged mid, even a ranged offlaner to go with it.
What TNC did against Fnatic's Drow Ranger lineup was they went for this kind of earlier pushing lineup. You know, Drow Ranger kind of has that timing, right? By 20 minutes, you're going to take down all tier 1s, then pushing into tier 2s, take Roshan from the Dire side. TNC picked up a Terrorblade and we're like, right, we're going to do this 5 minutes faster than you and make sure we just demolish any chance of Drow Ranger farming that was even possible.
I think with the Drow, it's like you pick the Drow, it reveals your strat. Why pick it 3rd? Are they worried Mineski's going to take? Mineski's not picking that hero with Tide ET, I don't think. Why do you reveal like your overall game plan at 3rd pick when you could have waited to your 4th pick? I'm wondering if there's like some niche pick that they're thinking of going into. If you're just picking an Invoker or Wind Ranger with it, you could have picked those in the 3rd slot. So it's a bit, I think, like a drafting mistake to pick it 3rd.
It gives yourself like no leniency, right? It's very all in on this best of 1 draft, but
yeah. Taring, they're 1 and 4. It's like you've got to win out. You're versing a team who, more often than not, beats you. So it's the right kind of idea. It's just I feel like the way they haven't drafted around it yet by any means. Now they go into a Doom. I'm not sure. This just seems like a casual draft pick at this point.
That's going to be an offlane Doom, do you assume?
Yeah, it really has to be.
We haven't seen safe lane Doom for a hell of a long time.
The only other other option is like a Ricky offlane and Doom jungle. Which is maybe the plan because you play the Doom like a core with Iron Talon jungle while Ricky just leeches XP since offlane is a no-fly zone nowadays. But at this point it's looking like, kind of talked about the first 2 picks being like let's make sure Yamete has a good game. Dro that hero also where it's like, oh, we're not really running a Dro strat, we just want to give Yamete an easier lane by giving him Precision Aura. Like, let's give him bonus damage mid. He can have an even easier lane. So he gets Precision Aura, he gets Ricky support, he gets Witch Doctor support, and then he's got a Doom to help deal with the enemy carry / one of their cores in the mid game. So, I mean, are they just going to pick him a Shadow Fiend or a Wind Ranger and hope carries the team? Because that right now feels like the plan. Taring's just like, Yamete, carry us, please. Or maybe they'll put Rogi mid.
Rogi, give us something good, yeah.
Yeah. Whoever's going mid has to be the guy who just carries Taring this game. That's really all it comes down to.
Well, 5th ban coming out. What are we looking at? 2 supports, mid, off lane done from Mineski, so it's the safe lane carry. You know, Juggernaut's kind of the safe go-to that they've always loved to play. But Raging Potato or Mineski with Slardar is always like one of those key heroes, especially against the Drow, having that jump and catch. The minus armor is amazing on him as well, but it's the Terrorblade. It's been the hero of the patch pretty much so far, and against the Drow Ranger, like I was saying, the kind of earlier pushing power you have from Metamorphosis definitely can be that wrench in the works.
Yeah, so Mineski banned some scary mid-hero. The SF is something that Yamete's played a lot of, but the thing about SF is you're very prone to getting pressured early on, but with Ricky Witch Doctor, maybe you feel like you can still get away with it. If you want something that's a bit harder to kill, you go for the Wind Ranger. I don't think scales well enough.
You're very all in on Drow then.
Yeah, like you don't actually push that. Normally you think of Drow strats, they push, but with Puck, Doom, Ricky Witch Doctor, there's no push. Tinker, interesting ban. That would be like super late game oriented from Taring if they went Tinker, but
very rarely do we see a Drow Ranger pick without like a Drow strat or a Drow lineup up for it. Tinker is something they've played a lot of for Rogi, but
the thing about Taring's draft is you have 0 catch. Like, how do you actually? You have no team fight. no catch or pick off really. Like,
No
Doom-
AoE, no wave clear.
Yeah, Doom can kind of initiate and doom someone, but that hero that gets doomed just runs away. You have no stuns. You have no like, Cask is not a reliable stun. Like, what does this Taring draft do? I'm like, the more I'm looking at it, the more skeptical I am that this is like just a really questionable draft.
Wonky and wonkier.
This 5th pick has to do so much. It has to carry, it has to have catch, it has to like stuns, lockdown. I don't know. Do a bit of everything. Like Invoker maybe could have fit the bill because it scales late game, it benefits from the draw, it can push if you go Exort.
I expected the Invoker to come out instead of Doom.
It's got lockdown. Like Invoker was the hero that would fit this Taring draft and make it not shit. But now I'm like, what else does that?
Gods is laying down the law right now. Taring, what the hell are you doing?
Wind Range is maybe the next best thing. Like you
have a shackle shot at least.
Yeah, you have catch and you have scaling and you have a hero that benefits from draw.
And you lane decently against Invoker.
Yeah. Okay. I think they're more likely to pick SF just because it's like, oh, it's comfort. Like Yamate SF. I've seen them pick that like when they're in a pinch. The Slaughter you mentioned.
They love it, honestly. It's one of those heroes. I think Mineski, honestly, internationally, are one of the better teams at knowing when to like farm and fight with it. Not saying that they're like the best in the world on Slaughter, but just the way that they play, they know, kind of like Hugh on MVP, you know, they know when to kind of sit back and get your next item and when to actually play aggressively with it.
Alright, what are you picking, Taring? What?
Roll the dice. Is it like a techies?
Oh.
Just give us a techies mid or some shit, honestly.
Gonna be a drow with no ranged hero strat or something like
Ooh,
TA. Okay, so you benefit, you have Roche, no real catch, but you have enough burst from a TA that you can get kills quickly. That maybe like the lack of, like you blink, meld strike someone, they just die before they can run away. When the trap slow maybe is enough, but so. See what Rogi can do. It's all in on Rogi really with this pick though. I'm not sold on the Taring draft still.
I mean, coming into this matchup, we favor Mineski regardless of draft anyway. You know, it's like a 65-35 kind of matchup, maybe 60-40. But this draft just, you know, completely screws Taring over even further.
BKB hero, they needed a BKB hero against like Tide.
There's the potential that
and stuff.
Potential that Taring, you know, snowball out the laning stage and completely roll over the first 10 minutes if they can outplay.
Yeah. So to do that, it's all in on your Ricky needs to deliver, I guess. And the thing about Taring for me is the thing that's been least impressive about the Taring team has, for the most part, been their support duo, I feel. As much as Ling and Ice are veterans, they're two fairly passive supports. They don't control the early game as well as we're seeing some of the other support duos that are succeeding more. They don't have like that aggressive 4-position playmaker. Like you look at Fnatic with DJ, of course. You look at TNC and just what like AU and Demon. Like Demon's been flashy and making plays all over this qualifier. So I feel like
he's been the best player on their team, honestly.
Yeah, it absolutely. And he's in a position where they let him shine and just do his thing. With Taring, I never feel like I walk away from a game and be like, man, Ling or Ice, they really stepped up and made plays this game. Or the smoke pop. Psyonix actually sees the dust on himself, and he was in a great position to reveal that one.
Thought they found the Ricky, but Ling is over in the Radiant jungle. Very deep ward here, I guess. Looking for what Crystal Maiden stacking, Tide onto maybe if he comes back.
Jungling probably. The Iron Talon jungle.
The way they're setting this up, Mineski have Tide down at bottom lane, and they're actually looking for an aggro tri lane potentially.
Okay, I mean
they've got Sunstrike with Fright, Stomp, and Crush.
ET's surprisingly good at these aggro lanes. Saw Puppy and Bulba just wreck a 2v3 lane with ET plus Slaughter. And this is ET Slaughter with a Crystal Maiden as well, so
much setup potential for them.
Yeah, Dro has no good defensive capabilities. You don't really want to be leveling up Gust, although you ultimately have to in a lane like this.
Ling barely skirts past that sentry ward.
A useful sentry placement.
You will get a couple of hits in onto Ben-Hur. Evoker not going to be too worried about this one though. What does this leave on the other lane? So Yamate off lane Doom up against the Bocarino. Tide Hunter down at bottom.
Nice ward blocks the Doom's camp, so he can't get a creep advantage in this 1v1. The thing is, you got a 1v1. If you're neutral, you have no neutral camps nearby, so you don't want to walk all the way to a camp, apart from that big camp, and instead, now you just devour the lane creep. So he's not going to be able to have like a aura for the lane.
I guess since you know Ricky's going to be roaming this tri lane up at top, it's going to be against a dual lane. Ricky doesn't really offer you any defensive or offensive capabilities in a 3v3. especially at level 1.
Yep.
Already
They
the
hit the
stomp
stomp.
onto Psionics. You're right, crush into it as well. There's no Sunstrike or anything coming through. The right click's barely going to be enough as that tree was placed to try and block the vision. Now they turn it back around. Ling chasing in, but no damage output really from them. The dust comes through, and Ling, he's caught as well. But Ricky taken out a 2 for nothing. There's Mineski. Off to a great start already, and we wanted Taring to, you know, try and snowball out the laning stage to at least make this draft work in the first 10 minutes, but it's not great.
They haven't got the lanes. I think Ricky, it's one of those things, you see the aggro tri-lane and you want to secure your safe lane. It's one of the, I'd say, like, key concepts of Dota. When you see your opponents contesting their offlane in your safe lane, you secure it first. But in a situation where you can't secure it because you haven't got the right heroes, you just got to prioritize winning other lanes. So I think Ricky would have been better off mid. Speaking of mid, Ben almost goes down to some side blade harass from Rogi. Really nice positioning coming out from the TA.
And what's he gone for? So he's gone to 2 Inquest just for that extra bit of heal, like you said, to deal with the splash damage coming out. But it's Exort Invoker. Got tons of ways to actually catch and these Sunstrike kills over to him.
Yeah, that's why this top lane is even more dangerous. That's why there's no way Taring can really secure this lane, because it's the 3v3. Echo Stomp does so much damage at level 1. You've got to set up with Frostbite and the Slider Crush, and then you've got Sunstrike, so it's really a 4v3 lane. I think Ricky's better off remaining mid. I'm a bit surprised to see him in this top lane, because I don't think Taring can win this unless Mineski overextend, which is kind of what they were relying on.
And it's majority physical. Oh, right, Drow with 1 armor at level 1. Witch Doctor's the same. Yeah.
Yep.
Very little they can do against it. While bottom lane, this Tidehunter just smashing through with his anchor and leading the last hits in his bottom lane for his Radiant team anyway.
Yeah, Yamate didn't build items for a 1v1 matchup. You don't want to have a first item boots of speed. You'd rather have like a Stout plus Quelling Blade in a 1v1 matchup.
But for regen, definitely.
Yep.
Look at that damage output.
Oh gosh, this is...
He has to go back to base, right? And TP home.
Yep. Tide's going to just bring some extra Tangos, I believe, once the courier's available, so... Tango and Salve coming out for Tide. Oh, he's there at his stash. Yeah, there we go.
So that's Tide getting a good, 45 seconds, free farm, a couple of waves of goods.
Gus back, it looks like Drow will be okay. Very close to getting that kill.
They're going to dive the tower though. This sprint forward from Raging Potato with a crush onto Drow, just catching the cast is good, bouncing between the two and the Maledict. Slider as well, but this stomp just catching on the edge onto Psionics.
CM frostbit the wrong one though.
Oh, they don't have a Sunstrike just yet, but the right click damage is going to be enough. They get the Slider first, and now they turn back onto cast. The Ricky wipes on through, and that Sunstrike doesn't do a damn thing, while Yamate's Doom is actually rotated up towards top. Jules chased down the Infernal Blade, will slow him a little bit with the mini-stun there as well, and Jules, they've lost their aggressive Troy lane here to the rotations in from Taring. Can they catch this final kill with the Scorched Earth? They can. And that's something for them.
Yeah, they had to dive too far. The Frostbite on the Drow that they were trying to chase, so I think they kind of gave up chasing, or the CM had given up chasing, was like, oh, just Frostbite someone else, and it ended up costing them in the Sunstrike. Comes incredibly late as well. Ben needed to offer that in support much sooner, so Mineski overextend. I don't think it was really so much an overextension, it was just more poorly executed.
Yeah.
Dive more than anything. Diving is the right approach from Mineski.
Oh, nice sentry placement here though, catches Ling, and they should be able to follow this through with a good chain stun in, but guess who's here? It's Rogi. The Fairy Fires keep Ricky alive a little bit longer. In fact, he's just about going to die, but Raging Potato will lose his life for the hasted Templar Assassin who keeps on chasing through. Frostbite will hold her down, but Cast, there's no way you're escaping out of this unless the ET can stomp and hold them out for a little bit longer. Cast has the salve. Taring cannot continue fighting through that one, but this has bought a little bit of time for Invoker to farm freely mid now.
Yep. Nice rotations. The Mineski dive and now a TA rotation top have made things a lot more even here in the early game. Slider with 2 consecutive deaths slows down Raging Potato a lot, and this is a player who playing that carry role, even when he's playing these more like fighting carries like Slider, he plays around having fun. He's not getting that at all. 11 CS only at 5 minutes in.
So I am wondering about this lack of kind of Sunstrikes up towards top, because there's been 2 or 3 chances now where they could have secured a kill for the Invoker with the Sunstrikes, but either he's waited too long or he just hasn't thrown them at all. Is this down to them like requiring kills on a Slider?
No, I think it's just... I don't know why they would decide not to use the Sunstrikes. Even if you can get the kill without it, it's worth it just for the Invoker can get it, because he's going to snowball more.
Oh, Rabbit into Sunstrike bomb.
There we go.
There's the combo.
And you want, because then you've got the heroes around getting involved in the kill, the money, getting the XP and all that, and then you've got the Invoker mid benefiting. So more heroes on the map benefit if you're using Sunstrike, and it's just a lower risk play to throw those Sunstrikes top to get the kills. So I think it's just miscommunication from Mineski, and again, they haven't really executed all that well so far this game.
Oh, Jules, 3-1-1 on his Elder Titan, has his Tranquil Boots up and level 3.5 already.
This Tide, though, could just solo carry this game. Getting so much out of bottom lane. He's got 42 CS now, Doom is 15, Arcane Boots.
It's insane.
I feel like when you get the free farm Tide, you often see the mech Greaves over the Blink Dagger, but we'll see what the Tide opts for this game. Having a fast mech for your team just means you can go and fight. The TA does nothing. No one can kill you or do anything to you.
Yeah, you have no direct burst from Taring, right? No stuns, no direct burst, it's kind of damage over time
top.
Doom and
Raging Potato.
damage from the drought. He does get maledicted up, but no way to dive, and again, lack of disables. To be the downfall of Taring's aggression there. Rogi does take a few hits towards mid, but throws it straight back into the face of Ben-Hur. Double trap.
They've smoked mid looking for the TA kill.
They got revealed though. They'll stomp her down. With the dust over onto Jules, there's no meld hiding here, and there's no refraction for 3 seconds time. She might be able to bottle through this, but the damage finally through. From Ben-Hur as Ling blinks forward, the cast bounces back onto Jules. They'll find a counter kill here if Ling wants to try and turn a fight, but the frostbite was perfect! Cast!
Bit unlucky the cast didn't bounce back to that ET, it bounced to the Invoker instead. It was kind of a 50-50 shot, but luck favors Mineski and they get the extra stomp off to trade 1-for-1 after the TA kill, so overall a big win for Mineski.
And now this is an Invoker who has struggled a little bit in the first couple of waves. 34 CS, 14 denies. Midas is going to be here by like 8 minutes 20, and it's a great timing against the TA who has the favourable matchup in this lane.
And Tide's free farming and has 20 more CS than the Invoker, but it's Invoker who's top of the net worth, just through kills and yeah, through kills. Nothing more to it.
Absolutely. I mean,
That's all you need.
It felt like Mineski were maybe a little bit shaky, a little bit, a bit cold. The hands weren't warmed up, but now getting into the swing of things. Nearly got treads up on Raging Potato. He can start looking towards his blink, maybe the armlet if he really wants to go for that kind of tanky, fighty build instead of the jump. But what do you think? Jumping on the drow, that's super important, right? Do you want to go for the blink first?
Probably. Blink, just getting blinks to be a gap closer, and you're playing against line without the best ability to deal with those blink daggers. The lack of disables and stuff means you can often probably use those blinks to escape with. And I think you get a lot of value from it. Wait and see. Tide 1700, so closer and closer he gets if blink dagger is going to be his ideal item. They TP Bok top for a smoke, it looks like.
He's got his Ravage back up. Yeah. They'll have the Sunstrike as well from Ben-Hur already invoked up. And Hand of Midas at the ready. As the scan from the Radiant comes through, maybe looking for that Ricky rotation back down towards middle.
Slightly off in the smoke.
So they have the dust, they've got the sentry. Ling is spotted. There's the Nova. That smoke screen's not going to do anything to save him. The Sunstrike will land just on his head, and the Frostbite helps, but Rogi has returned. Cast is dropping low with a Doom onto Bocarino. There's no Ravage. They've killed off one with a Maiden dropping, but that's a good crush back onto the TA. The trouble is the Tide has died. And they've caught the Jules in the trap as well. The Stomp will not connect, and Taring with a great TP in and another haste rune for the TA.
And keys to fighting for Taring if they ever want to win a fight is just Doom the Tide. Don't let him use Ravage, don't let him use Anchor Smash. You've got so much physical damage, even Anchor Smash is like a brutal spell to be fighting into, but good Doom, and you're not good. Invoker isn't a hero that can rotate to a fight like that, so you've got to be able to get that Ravage off if you want to take that fight in Mineski's position. And it turns out the Ricky with the smoke screen and then into the Gust, just the silence was too much for Tide to get a Ravage off, and then Doom comes in, all over. Oh, Rogi, that's deep.
What have you done? The Ravage into Sunstrike again. Not sure what he was aiming for there.
That was almost just like Bok saying like, screw you guys. Didn't even need to use the Ravage, I don't think, but he just wanted to make sure.
And now, Maledict Cask only onto one. This Tide Hunter with impunity walks forward, but now the Death Ward out from Ice. He's hit his level 6. The Fairy Fire will not keep you alive through that one. The turn back. The next once casts Crystal Maiden.
They're making up for the kind of lack of early game, like lack of catch maybe from their lineup by just getting more damage. The high level Maledict with Death Ward. I mean, they've got more DPS to actually be able to kill off a Tide Hunter.
Is Jules going for a Vanguard on Slardar?
On Raging Potato.
Oh, sorry, not Jules.
Yeah. Possibly. I guess against all the physical damage, it's a very good game for Crimson Guard later on.
Trap into smoke, yeah, I would say. Infernal Blade is out onto Slardar, but it sprints. Turn around with a crush, but the blink forward. Ling wants to go in deep for this one, but he doesn't have another blink up on. With that stomp perfectly placed onto 2, the Sunstrike is not going to clip onto the misplaced there from Ben-Hur. And Jules is maybe in a spot above the now as a smoke screen. Will keep him held in place. Yamate runs forward onto Raging Potato. A couple hits is all they need onto him. They're going to try and look for both, but they're not going to get even one. Yamate now trapped over the tower, taking over the tower to the stomp onto him. They'll let the tower hit through, and Bok comes in. Secure that one and allow the double kill to come through.
And that, I mean, the end result makes it look like amazing play from Mineski, but I think it was really just sloppy sides from both sides there.
Well, the Doom runs towards the Slardar, then traps him, runs back towards the ET, runs this way, that way. It's just
Slardar ran back in with no HP. He had the stick charges to give him the money he needed for the crush, so it wasn't like as questionable as it first looked, but it was still just all over the place as far as that fight went. Mineski knew what they were doing though. That's where you say calculated.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, Ben-Hur mid. This is a death ward gank from Witch Doctor.
He heals himself up through it.
He's okay, yeah.
Oh, that freezing field from Crystal Maiden. Oh, get them to kill back with the ET helping out. Yamate even might get chased down here, but Raging Potato not going to go diving in too deep. Kept this Invoker alive for a hell of a long time now with Aquila as well as that Hand of Midas. Probably looking for the drums after that Windlace pickup. Bocarino on the Tide, we're kind of looking towards what he's going to buy. It's not always indicative of a Blink Dagger saving up this much money. Often players are kind of like, right, where's the pace of the game going? Do we need a mech? Are we going to start 5-manning and pushing anytime soon? Might still go for that mech and go back for it.
The one reason that the Blink is probably prioritized, he gets it now, is the Doom, because that means you don't have to be. Generally, as a Tide, you go for like the mech Greaves build when you can just run in, be super tanky, which works. It works great against the entire Taring team except Doom, because you get doomed and then they can kill you down. They can either ignore you during the Doom and take the team fight, or just try and burst you down, and there's no way you get any benefit from the Kraken Shell.
And I guess another consideration is if Slardar did have an earlier blink, then you don't need the initiation, but the fact he can't close the gap onto Drow Ranger, you definitely need that one up on Tide.
Yeah. We'll see what Slardar does. He's not committed to the Vanguard just yet.
It's like a thrift shop, honestly. It's like Ring of Hell, Belt of Strength, Brown Boots, Magic
Like, I'll
Stick.
get Treads. No, I won't. I'll get Vanguard. No, I won't.
Bit of this, bit of that, but then to jump. The Blink ground with the Sunstrike as well. Roger caught and the meld. What save you? The Ion Cannon from up on high. Ben-Hur, again with tons of money saved up and pushing into tier 2 mid.
Yeah, I mean, Ben-Hur's having a big game. But it's also been like, game is played into his hands, because Taring have taken the fights top lane, the bottom lane. They've completely ignored this Invoker. Like, he was first 2-3 minutes having a rough lane as far as CS goes, but then you ignore him and TA rotates off the lane. Ben-Hur's going to free farm, and he's just... Has he left this mid lane? I feel like he's not left mid lane, except to go back to his jungle.
Yep, exactly.
He's like, I'll go to my jungle to use a Midas, or to farm the neutrals, because I pushed my lane, but I don't think he's ever left his jungle camp until this is the first time.
He's
14 minutes.
He's basically done that move over and over again.
Yep.
Push mid, go back into the 2 camps and keep on going. The dust does hit onto Ling, but they can't actually see him over towards the east during this night time.
Poker out of his comfort zone is ventured down bottom.
Oh, Jules is the one that's caught in the Radiant jungle, tanks the gank for him, and will get Ben-Hur out of a sticky situation, or what could have possibly been one.
Mineski probably trying to take some fights using this blink, these double blinks now actually.
So he does go for the blink. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. No treads, no Vanguard. Have that initiation.
I guess the
tool.
ring is kind of like a pseudo farming item.
Yeah.
In the sense that it keeps you healed up. Stay in lane more.
Not scared of the Ricky or anything like that. Now back into the treads, but the Roshan from Taring, Lightstone as well as the Melt Spray.
Got scouted by a scan, but one of those Roshes which happens too fast. Like, what are you gonna do? Guys, again, like, at least throw a Sunstrike if you're Ben-Hur. Maybe you catch someone low or just get some intel. But
Still the Roche.
yeah, yeah.
I've seen it. I think I've seen it once.
Yeah.
Boot to
I
travel
think
now
a
for
rocket
him.
player still roast.
Oh yeah.
That was crazy.
Was it Bulba?
So I think it was like a random Chinese game that I saw it in.
Okay. Greedy build from Ben-Hur. This is going to be the split push game for him, or it's the excessive amounts of farm game.
Yep.
Hide yourself away into a lane and back into the jungle, while Mech still being gone into by Bok.
Yeah, Deso, there's ways for Taring to take these fights with the amount of burst damage TA offers. For Taring, it's really as simple as get a Doom on Tide and you can win a fight. Then all it takes is one blink meld strike onto someone that Ling has smoke screened up. Like, if Ling can get onto the Invoker with a smoke screen and then TA blinks in, that's just a straight up dead Invoker.
That's why this Glimmer Cape from Crystal Maiden is going to be so huge.
Yeah.
Already has the Shadow Amulet back in the stash.
I wouldn't even mind seeing someone like Invoker get a 4-staff. I feel like I've
yeah.
seen Miracle, like when he's played this Invoker, go for that 4-staff in games like this when you're against, like you have Smokescreen coming into play, there's a TA, you want to be able to kite and maneuver around these heroes. Having a 4-staff helps a lot.
I guess there's the ET as well. He's not item reliant. There are no like key items he needs. You know, could go for Vlads, could go for Pipe. There's so many things he could go for. 4-staff. Yeah, he's got
6 of the staffs.
Yeah, perfect.
Right now. It could be a Yules because he's the Windlace, but
maybe so.
I like the idea of 4-staff a lot better, just because it saves your team.
You get doomed up as well, you know, you just force them away as, there we go, in onto Bok, they've caught the Tide with the Doom and the smoke screen, and that is one dead Tide Hunter, but can they actually converge this into a push?
He's just out in no man's land against a team that has, I guess he doesn't know about the blink on the Doom, but no, it's very aggressive position for him to be. When Mineski are looking to take a fight, like you've got Blink Ravage, you want to group up, take a fight, you don't want to get caught out like that. And now they're going to look to come in from the side.
Lada finally finishes off his items. My OCD can...
They're all upgraded.
Can rest now. It's not just small little bits and bobs here and there, but...
All up. Oh, Benho.
He does not have Invoke and cannot Ghost Walk, but there's nothing for the cast to bounce onto. Damage output, it looks good, but can they finish him off? That Maledict will tick him low. I'm not sure. Can actually kill him though. TP back to base and... Oh, this is going to be close though. There we go. Necrotide.
Wow.
Beautiful from Bok. Sits around, waits for his buddy to return to base.
Yeah, I think he's actually dead there to that last Maledict strike. For that. So nice bit of play.
So Raging Potato has spent, you know, the past 12-30 minutes really heavily farming, making sure that the 2 deaths he had up on top lane don't limit how he can play this Slardar, but this is key time for him, right? Treads, Blink, Vanguard, he's tanky, he has Initiation, the mech up on Tide with the Blink Dagger as well. Tier 1 tower bot, do they aim for that? Or do you want to go, you know, cruise through the enemy jungle?
Probably smoke, yeah. Smoke, enemy jungle, utilize your catch potential with Slardar as well as Tide. You don't even have to commit the Ravage. You start with a Blink Crush, Sunstrike, that should kill the first hero you find, and then if Taring are there with numbers, you have the Ravage to take a team fight. Or if they look to kind of counter-initiate, so... Tide, it's all about positioning further back, not getting caught, not getting doomed. But Taring have got a Rookie, which is one of the better heroes to scout with. Find that Tide in these team fights.
Oh, it's such a tanky illusion. Even with amp damage up onto it, Yamate somehow kept that illusion alive a lot longer than I expected. To have that level 2 amp now up onto Raging Potato though, and back into a chainmail.
He's going Crimson Guard.
Oh yeah, yeah you do right.
Just not
Super,
the or anything.
super good against minus armor, great against Drow strats. That damage block is going to be perfect for them against this TA Drow. It does have a Blink Deso now on Rogi.
Yeah, this is scary.
Especially for a poor little Crystal Maiden.
They're smoking towards bottom, just 2 or 3, but now they TP in the Drow, they're ready to fight. Walker not here.
Bok is placed nicely a little bit further behind the rest of his team. Of the Invoker coming in.
They see him.
They jump one, and there's the Doom with a smoke onto him as well. The damage output looks good, but here comes the Earthsplitter with a stomp, landing onto the TA. No, he doesn't complete it, and now Ben-Hur chased back into the trees. Jukes and Jokes back and forth with the DPS. There's the Mail Strike, finishes them off, and Templar Assassin looks for Bok as well. Down they go, 2 for nothing. Mineski caught off guard, and Raging Potato slithers himself towards mid lane.
Mineski, it looked like it was going to be really bad because it was 4v5, but forgot Invoker does have boots of travel, so he TPs in, but he just gets immediately taken out. And again, it's the story of whether or not Tide gets doomed, and for the 3rd time in a row we see Tide getting doomed and Mineski able to, or going to lose a fight. It's Taring who, any engagement they want, given that Tide isn't in the picture, you get no value from Mech, from Ravage. This was your hero who had the safe lane, was crushing the safe lane. Now he's number 6 in terms of overall net worth, hasn't contributed anything to the Mineski side in quite some time.
There is no longer an Aegis on the TA now though, so this could give Mineski a little more impetus to go and play aggressively into them. As they start dewarding across the map and getting these sentries down, Jules taking full charge of that one with cast. Glimmer Cape is done. Got some way of escaping out of the evil eyes of Taring. It's over on the Riki though, who's actually starting to scale decently, and this has kind of been one of the hot topics, right? When Riki came into the fray of competitive Dota 2, was sure you're roaming, you like a bounty, you like an Earth Spirit causing havoc on lanes, but he's really been incredibly strong when he can get into Diffuse the Blade, into these, blink daggers and bigger items. And Ling, honestly, he's got some farm behind him.
Yeah, he's done well. That Diffusal will be useful for kind of limiting what Slider can do in terms of sprinting around. And talk about this Dire draft not having much of anything in the way of lockdown disables. Well, Diffusal can kind of act as a pseudo disable / chase to secure your team kills.
Ling is contemplating the go onto Slider with a Templar Assassin close by. I will TP down towards bottom though. Defend this tier 1.
Down bottom.
I don't want to concede anything here, and the Drag Ranger BKB primary item.
Ah.
Wait, did she disassemble Dragonlance? No.
Yes.
Oh yes, she did. There's 2 bands. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's other bands on the courier. Oh, Mineski smoke towards. I mean, Roche kind of even again a weird like, hey, let's check Roche, but Roche, it's impossible for Roche to respawn by now. Mineski just seemed to be out of it right now in this game. I don't know. But
weird little things.
This is better. They need to be the ones engaging. Use the Slider to initiate a fight. We haven't seen a single fight taken on Mineski's terms, despite finishing these blinks about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, we've seen like blink initiations onto single heroes and landing sunstrikes after solo ravages, but that's not a big strength of having a Tide plus Slider on your team. Now TA BKB, the double Black King bars for Dire just amplifies this ability and the capabilities of them to actually just run forward and fight into the Ravage. It was one of the weaknesses though of their draft, right? Is the inability to walk into the teamfight ultimates of Mineski.
Yeah. And you look at a hero like Invoker, it's all magic damage too. So what do Mineski do if there's BKB? Slider's itemizing towards teamfight, not towards carry. So if you have BKBs, you win any teamfight for a good period of the game until those BKBs get down to 5 seconds.
This is an Aghanim Scepter Invoker at 22.5 minutes though. Full Exhort as well. There's a lot of damage coming out of this lad. Ben-Hur, Alacrity.
TA has a double damage if they wanted to find
Cass is very far forward. This Crystal Maiden's going in on the Yamate, but a couple of swipes out. There we go, 1-hit kill taken out of the game.
A bit early on the BKB, and okay sacrifice for Mineski if they want to regroup.
They've spotted them out with the trap though. They know they're coming in. There's the blink ravage. The BKB from Drow Ranger Psionic keeps the Drow alive as Bok is turned on. They don't need to use the Doom now onto the Tide. They can choose a different target. They just right click him down. The mech is there. The Tornado doesn't tap anyone. Tide is left dead alone. The rest of Mineski try, tail between legs, to retreat themselves away, but Raging Potato, the TP's there. They've got no vision. They can't actually see him.
Mineski's in a world of trouble now. You look at kind of how this game's developed. The next 10-15 minutes of this game is going to be all Taring while they've got these BKBs at long durations. They're going to secure another Aegis, so Mineski have to somehow find a way to weather the storm of this Aegis, and they can't really do that by trying to stick as 5. Like, they don't want a 5-man fight. They want to avoid fights at this stage because they don't have bananas to BKB. They want to split push. But really it's just Invoke who can get out on the map and probably get spam. Actually Slider a little bit, but Slider's picked up a helm now. Is he going back for a very late armlet, I guess? But
so we favored Mineski's draft. We favored their lanes.
Yeah.
We favored them in the first like 10 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
Where did things go wrong?
Was
it just like misutilizing Ravage?
It was less how they utilized, well, it's more that they didn't utilize it. We saw 3 fights in a row where it was Taring getting the jump with the Doom. We haven't seen a good Ravage really all game, apart from maybe like the solo kill on the Doom. That was a good Ravage. That's the only good Ravage he's had, and it was an early game solo kill Ravage. Other than that, there's not been a single use of Ravage this game that was particularly needed. They did the one at top on the tier 1 tower to solo kill a TA who was dead anyway, so Mineski have not used smokes well. Like, they haven't been getting the initiation or the jump at all, and like, they're always off doing weird things like what we're seeing here from Jay. He's just getting solo killed, trying to farm by a tier 2 enemy tower. Like, what?
Bimbo, please.
What's he accomplishing up here? Again, it goes back to what I was going to about where they do want to.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Mineski have more than anything just played really badly, yeah.
Throw away prediction, won't you?
I mean, to give Taring credit, they've recognized how to
Use Mineski.
Yeah, and how to really punish them. They punish these mistakes tremendously, and they've recognized the big threat of the Tide. They're not going to take any fight where they're getting initiated on by a Slider and Tide can fold up with a Ravage. They're always prioritizing dooming him, in that case Smokescreen plus a TA, bursting him down at the start, and they've done it to great effect.
This has allowed them to get themselves a 5,000 net worth lead. 12,000 experience lead though. They've just like skyrocketed ahead in this game as...
They may just go high ground here. With Deso they push very fast. They've got a lot of stocked up cash, so they haven't really used all their money to go for this high ground push. But even with like 5.5k gold on TA, sure that could be another item, but Deso BKB is enough to poke high ground with. But
and it's not as though these BKBs, you know, running low on charges or running low on duration. They're still 9 seconds, relatively fresh. This bubble that Taring are kind of...
Yamate missed his blink.
Oh, unfortunate.
He's still searching? Okay. Oh, if he searched, they would have found... He probably just assumed Jay had a TP. I mean, he saw the TP, but the TP was on cooldown.
An Assault Cuirass fully completed for the Templar Assassin.
Okay.
That Crystal Maiden is just going to get swiped down. But yeah, this kind of bubble of the BKB for Taring, the double BKBs, often it's like, right, we've got, you know, 10 minutes or so. Once it gets down to 5-second duration on these two heroes, then, you know, our strength wanes a little bit. But it's early days still, 27 minutes in. These guys have a lot more mileage in these items left to go, while Invoker kind of has to weather this storm and say, right, my actual damage output here is not going to do too much, while these guys have the Black King bars up.
Oh, they're chasing and tracking Ben-Hur. Doesn't walk in. Okay, walking to the central ward now. Believe he just saw Ling.
Oh, too late onto him. The Ravage comes through onto 2, and Ben-Hur still doomed up, turns to right click Yamate, but he's got a BKB of his own. Drow Ranger focuses down one after the other, looking at the cast now. They've got the reveal and they've got the kill. And in the meantime, Raging Potato on the back end. He's 1 versus 3. He's all alone again, completely separated from the rest of his team. No cohesion here from Mineski. They're just scattered to the wind.
And as far as fights go, that's probably one of like the better ones from Mineski. It's still a 1 team fight for Taring, but for Mineski, it's again weather the storm that is this second Aegis and try and whittle down these BKBs. TA still sitting on 9 seconds, but that was another use from the Drow getting down to 8 seconds. It was the Doom's 10 seconds. So if you can stall this game out such that these BKBs get down to 5 seconds,
Invoker suddenly becomes a monster.
Yeah, Invoker becomes a monster. The Tide Ravage gets stronger. The Slider Crush, which is like a pretty reliable 8-second cooldown stun going late game, is amazing.
Oh, does Invoker have a stun strike? He does, he tries it, but Yamate skirts around it, and Forge Spirits will not be able to chip through that Scorched Earth heal. Aegis taken away. Ocarino. Very deep in enemy lines here, will blink TB, man, that's super risky.
Yeah.
User Blade, of course, done on Ling, already burnt through a bunch of his charges on that. We do see Raging Potato, he went back for that armor, like you said. Interesting choice, and what do you think about that kind of...
Realizes he has to kind of stop and be the physical damaging scale late game, although I mean it's a good early game carry item and pretty good mid game, so it's pretty much always going to be good on the Slider, but he needs more than just an armlet. He's going to need items on top of this.
I guess BKB doesn't do a massive amount for you this game, and AC could be cool.
I think Heart even is not bad too, just raw HP. Heart plus armor you get very tanky with. Sitting on, like the Crimson Guard already gives you a lot of armor, so the AC is probably
overkill a little bit for now.
I scan clipped jewels.
I will try and defend this tier 2 though. Elder Titan, one of the better heroes at kind of holding out these aggressive pushes, just spamming out Spirit and Stomp and slowing this down as Ling has gone in from the east, scouting out this Slardar, but it's the turn. They've seen him instead. The Doom now onto the Tide Hunter. The Gunner Cape comes through and the trap is slow, but a great tornado. Ben-Hur will stop the TA and Drow Ranger from chasing in too deep, but the Ice Wall captures a few. Raging Potato dropping low already. The TA just splashes through 1 and 2 cast. He's going to get swiped down again. Roger clears up 3.
My blades and my
Mineski. They thought they could defend the tier 2 easily. They got the Ricky, but the chasing power here of Taring is just way too strong.
CM made a mistake using the Glimmer Cape on the Doom Tide. You want to Glimmer Cape the Slider, because they're dooming the Tide to ignore him. They're actually care more about killing the Slider there than the Tide. They just want to Doom Tide to take Ravage out of the equation, as well as the mech and the Force Staff, and CM didn't recognize that they were focusing Slider and used the Glimmer Cape on the wrong target. I don't know if they would have had immediate protection.
And a big blink Ravage though with a meter dropped onto Rogi. Can they bring him down? Dropping low and Rogi's barely going to scrape away with a beasting of health. The Tornado not going to catch on as the BKB of Psyonix will keep her up on the front lines, but that Templar Assassin dropped to like 15 health and TP's back. So Fountain.
Jeez. 20 HP, 15 HP, TA. And they hold high ground, so you can kind of be happy about that, but you really wanted that kill on TA.
And Witch Doctor has a fully completed Agnum Scepter 30 minutes in. They try and scout out with a Sunstrike, but the Haste Rune, a lucky pickup for Mr. Ice. Where's...
Like, where are you going, mate? Raging Potato.
Where are you going?
The wrong way. Hunting this Witch Doctor, like,
I think
to get a solo kill on a Witch Doctor. Like, oh, that Witch Doctor is going to be greedy in jungle, and now I'll steal the gem, then I'll escape without a TP? Like,
yep. Without TP, without BKB, without any way of escaping, really. Looks like Cast knows there's an Invis Templar Assassin actually running up on top of this ramp, and a little bit further back with that Glimmer Cape. Little puppy following around as well. But Jules has been the one, eyes on. There we go. Nice. You'll step to back though. Great reactions there on the Glimmer Cape again from Cast. Puts them at arm's reach away from the team of Taring. Ionix though with close to 3 grand saved up in the bank. Manta BKB done, and of course they'll be vying for this third Roshan. Aegis and Cheese, and honestly, God, do you think Mineski can even get there? No, they can't. Never mind. I retract anything.
This is pre-TA as well. Like, TA's like, oh, sorry guys, I'm a bit late. How to trust TA. I was looking at that like last fight and thinking like, all he has to do is survive, and the only way you die is if you get burst down in the stuns and you get HP. I'm like, best HP out of hard. Do you really go hard TA? But yeah, like the answer you do. You have more than enough damage by the AC Deso. DPS is not a problem for Taring. It's just surviving the burst. If you can survive, you'll win the fight. So I'm quite okay with this pickup. It makes a lot of sense for Rogi.
Mineski will get their 2 calls away from the top tier 2 as the long run from the Roche pit was there. Taring stripping that one. At the same time, you know, ET and this Crystal Maiden really low on the charts in terms of actual progression. It was a great start. Cass got an early Glimmer Cape. ET had, you know, a bunch of gold. He was 3-1-3 or something in the first 5-6 minutes. Things have deteriorated quite drastically here for them, while Tide Lincoln forces up for Bok, but doesn't have great way dealing with that Doombringer.
They're trying to go talked about going late game and things getting easier when the BKBs get down to 5 seconds. They still will always have that problem where their late game damage output isn't formidable. You've got a underfarm Slider. The Invoker will scale late game, yes, so he's going to be the hero for Mineski, but I don't think he can do it alone. Like, items like Harder Tarask are being picked up to help counter the Invoker, because he's kind of got a cap on how much damage he can do. He's not like a consistent right-clicking hero. You use all your spells and then you're kind of done.
Yeah, it's like a one-and-done kind of thing. You combo and you see what happens. Tier 3 and the Rax falling incredibly quickly. That's without the minus armor from the Templar Assassin applied to it as well as the jump forward. There's the Yule Step down as the Doom is out, and now Rogi pops the BKB. Meteor's gone and Ben-Hur swiped in. Yamate's there. Death Ward, that's the bounce. Takes him immediately out of the game. And Mineski are forced to buy back onto Ben-Hur, but it looks like this game might just be over. As Team Taring tornadoed up the EMP, but damage output, is it actually there? Tide blinks it, but he's silenced out, didn't get the Ravage down, and Taring chased him into the base. The smoke screen, the damage, but Frostbite in onto Link, and Bocarino, he's gone. Forced to buy back again. Mineski on their last legs, honestly, as the Sunstrike will not catch onto the Ricky.
This game has been summed up by Tide getting doomed and silent. I mean, just silence in general, Doom being one of the, obviously a strong silence, but The Doom is, to me, hands down MVP. Just every single fight, Tide is doomed. Every single fight that mattered. In the early to mid game especially, now we're at the stage where even if he gets off a Ravage, chances are with the BKBs and the amount of survivability from Aegis Cheese that Taring will be just fine, but this Tide did not deliver when it came to the mid-game team fight. I don't even think you can just blame him for it. I feel like Mineski as a whole did not play as a team.
And Drow had Aegis and Cheese. Pops the Cheese, still has a second life, the full base of racks all gone. Jumps forward, Ice is caught by the Slardar, but that's not the best target you want to go for as Ling's Ricky chases him down as well, but on the back end it's the Tide Hunter getting ripped to shreds. The final hit, the splash damage is going to be there. No, Ben-Hur turns back. So Rocky doesn't get the final kill in, but Raging Potato 1v3, the Meteor, finally, there's the DPS they needed. TA's taking out the game, the Ravage catches illusions. Bog does not have
it's Mega Creeps, it's game over. Mineski are just perhaps being a bit stubborn, or just like, we can still do this, or no, they're probably just not talking right now, and nobody wants to be the guy on the team who says, call GG, but there's no way they win this. If anything, like if I'm the coach on this team, I would be really pissed off about how this game is. This is not the Mineski that we've seen in the past with how they played.
And no synergy, no real cohesion. Everyone kind of had a game plan of their own. While Taring somehow came out of this draft, you know, looking pretty dogged and not too great, but they have pulled themselves together. They've been tight as a unit, very well played by them. It's just been one direct game plan. They knew what they wanted to do. They took Roshans when they needed to. The Templar Assassin has been an absolute cause of pain and distress here for Mineski as Ricky. You know, Ling has had a pretty good game, chasing down Jules, looking for that final kill, but his ultimate will not finish that one off, and now he might be in a little bit of trouble, except he's got a blink dagger to get himself into the trees.
No TP, but no problem. And there we go. I mean, I feel like, again, it was that. Nobody wants to be the guy who...
So Jules is just like, you know what, guys?
I don't know if he asked his team or just, like, decided, but that's one of those things where sometimes the captain just decide. If you're the captain, like, you should just call it if it's over. And you don't even need to tell your team. Just call G and then discuss with the team what went wrong, but... I mean, the fact nobody called GG and then 2 minutes later someone just decides to call it without anything happening is like... Things are going poorly in the Mineski camp.
I mean, is that a worrying sign for their later games, or is that going to be like a step outside, have a breath of fresh air and, you know, talk things over?
I think it's very worrying. I think that the fact that how that went